pass. This is Mach 0.9, slightly below the sound barrier.
And they're sponsoring this part of the day. So if you look to your right, you will see the Falcon 20. There's a good connection here because FR Aviation was born out of a post-war company called Flight Refueling. So the exercises are done over the channel and out in the... So join up with big exercises in places like Norway and Gibraltar and Sardinia. We want you to transport yourself back in time over the channel to Germany at 2 airfields, right here before your videos, as they used to say. So Fairford is about equivalent to 2 modern-day Birminghams. We're suddenly without food, without medical supplies, without fuel, without anything. West Berlin will supply the people by air. So that's what they did. Here at RAF Wunstorf, what you're seeing is 160 miles away. That's about as far as from Fairford to Leeds or Cromer or Anglesey or Bodmin or even Kingston upon Hull.
Loaded is constructed of pierced steel planking, or PSP as we call it. This consists of interlocking sheets of steel planking, each 10 feet long. And if all the sheets used were straight.
If you wanted to increase the sizes of the airfields in Berlin, and they surely did, all of the heavy earth-moving equipment had to be flown in. In fact, some bulldozers were actually cut up and then welded back together again when they got to Berlin. Now, if you're not quite as ancient as I am, you may not know, but here goes another aircraft departing RAF Wunstorf in the stream. Indeed, have started flying north prior to flying into Berlin's Gatow field. You have to go north first because there are 3 air corridors into the city. North and south ones are for flying in, one in the middle is for flying out. Now we've been seeing a range of types flying out of the aircraft at Wunstorf. Actually 50 years ago, in Fair, he was referring to there. Actually that winter, 48-49, was some way off, but regardless. Freezing conditions did write off one sort of flying altogether. Short Sunderlands, flying boats from Coastal Command, were also being used in the airlift. If you've ever been to Berlin, you'll know there are lots of sizable lakes in the area. Some Halifaxes were used. How did they do that? Well, they had special panniers under the fuselage. Salt slipping out, fall away, rather than finding its way into the control away.
Sitting in my office at Frankfurt Airport one evening about 6 o'clock. The phone rang and the military voice said, I came in with charters an airplane to fly Seoul to Berlin. In New York, and the voice persistently continued. But then I said, we have no crew. And he said, oh, come on, why don't you fly the airplane? But maybe we're making history.
So as the last few aircraft get airborne, we're heading for our second airfield. Transfer your attention to, as you will, to Gatow, right to half a step nearly, just later in the block. And it wasn't just men.
My job at Gatow is the servicing and repairing of aircraft engines. And as you can imagine, with this big airlift on...
Airlift. As a Skymaster of the 150th flight of the day came to a halt, this is what they sang. Those of you with binoculars can probably see the RAF Gatow unloading teams in action on the other side of the airfield. We may be able to see them in the screen. What's happening over on that far side of the airfield.
Captain Laurie Ross, the tow pilot, and the engineer on this flight is Andre Post. At the end of 1945, South African Airways negotiated the purchase of a fleet of DC-4s And on the 1st of May 1946, a non-stop service between Johannesburg and Cape Town was introduced. In July 1946, on the second and third aircraft had arrived, they were introduced on the Springbok service to supplement the joint South African Airways BOAC Avro York flights to the UK. These Skymaster flights followed about 36 hours. Later in 1946, South African Airways ordered 3 more DC-4s for delivery by mid-1947. Bravo Mike Cattell, the aircraft that we are looking at now, was the last DC-4 to be built by the Douglas Corporation. In fact, the production line was already turning out DC-6s when South African Airways insisted like hotels. At the end of 1947, the Avro Yorks were withdrawn from the Springbok service. In 1948, in-flight entertainment was introduced to the Springbok service. This took the form of film shows on certain DC-4s, a service which was later extended to all Skymasters on the route. This particular aircraft DC-4 sequence complete, and you'll see the undercarriage coming out as she'll be preparing to land. This particular aircraft is called Lebombo and is named after a famous mountain range back in South Africa. The DC-4 now on approach for its landing here at Fairford. And ladies and gentlemen, from all around the South African Airways historic flight, we hope that first you've enjoyed our display.
Is in Europe, so having this one here is a great treat. This aircraft did real duty in the Berlin Airlift, not flying into Berlin itself, but carrying stuff across the Atlantic into bases like Wunstorf. So, coming in from the right, enjoy the C-121 Constellation. He's flying the Connie for us today. Co-pilot is Larry Henderson. So as Captain Frank Lang brings the C-121 Connie round from the right, you can see he's got the gear down for a slow fly past with the gear and flaps down. And as she comes towards us, a good view of the triple tail fin. So why 3 tail fins? Well, you'll also note as she comes towards us that the engines are set very far out on the wings. And if an outer engine fails, the yaw of the aircraft at the twisting moment is so great, you need a tail fin so big that it wouldn't fit into any of the hangars that are then available. So it's a really much. There's no overall accurate figure for the number of people involved in the Berlin Airlift, but we do know which RAF squadrons took part.